Hello, 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 hello. Sir, the Freedom Astrologer here again, and coming to you with another astrological video. This time I'm going to be showing or talking about what goes on during an astrological reading and what to be prepared for, and how to kind of adjust your hopes and be grounded in reality as well. And in the end of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Libra, and I'm going to reveal a not so well-known secret. Let's say an astrological, a bit of a secret about Libras, and we're going to do that as well. So, what actually happens when a person comes to an astrology, or what's an astrology reading or a consultation? So obviously it differs from astrologer to astrologer, but I have a bit of an active way of doing things. So my main goal is for you to get something out of the reading first and foremost, but also it's an important part of my kind of way of doing things is to devise an actionable plan as well. Obviously, there are times when a person comes in and they have a very specific question, like, should I do this, or is this beneficial for me? And the answers there can be yes or no. But a lot of times it's bigger themes and kind of life changing, career, relationship themes. So there can be a very actionable plan devised during the consultation. Now, this is one part of it, but a lot of what astrology does is kind of shows you the deeper places within you that are kind of holding you back from what you are wanting to achieve in the real world or in the material world. And these things very often are quite painful to see. They're quite difficult to see, and people don't really want to see them, don't want to look at them. And so what I'm saying is you should be prepared when you go and see an astrologer. In my mind, in my opinion, and in my, let's say, way of doing things, you should be prepared to hear the more difficult things as well, hear the more harder things you need to work on, and kind of be able to take obviously advice. And again, I'm not saying every advice is 100% sure and certain, and you should be always dealing according to that advice. But a lot of that, if you're going to come in with a very specific question, like, should I do this course, or should I do this schooling, or should I do should I put out this product or whatever? So a lot of the times we have emotional attachment to these things. We have these ideas that when we do something along these matters, or we achieve, or we get this certificate or whatever it is, something emotionally that will make us feel better will happen to us. Now, that in it of itself isn't bad, but when we get stuck in that space and place, the ideas we have about these courses, these situations, these careers, these moments, these products are kind of like distorted. So there's a lot of too much optimism towards these, because you're approaching them from your own point of view. So an astrology gives you another point of view. A lot of the times it can show you like there's still things to work on this, and maybe the idea isn't as formed as you think it is, and you need to put in more work to make it even more tangible, even more better, or even sometimes it can show you that maybe this specific project isn't the best for you right now. And then all of those hopes and dreams and emotional reactions, these come up, and it's quite difficult to handle them. But for the for the long run, for the big picture stuff, you need to be prepared to hear those things and act accordingly as well. And I know it's easier for, for astrologers, it's easier to, kind of believe, believe astrology, because we test it out. We constantly see things that work and don't work, and we know when something needs more energy to put into. So it's kind of easier for us to believe it. And so when a person comes, at times I totally get it, because it's, it's your baby, or there's so much emotional connection to whatever it is that you're doing. So it's harder to hear that you need to work on it, you need to put something else in it, you need to improve it, you need to maybe discard this one and take it up a new one. So it's a bit of a difficult situation, but I do hope that you kind of understand this, and at times act accordingly as well. What the astrologer, what any advisor is giving you, because it doesn't always have to be an astrologer, but in this case we're speaking about it through the context of astrology and an astrology consultation. So be prepared to hear more difficult things as well. For example, we have this chart here. I pulled it up as an example, and we can see Sun in the 7th house. We can see also that it's in the sign of Aries, so it's a very, very good position in that sense for the Sun, sign wise, and in a way house wise as well, because it's an angular, action oriented, kind of more of a public house. So this is good about this Sun placement. But what is difficult here is that this Venus and Sun both are in the 7th house. Venus is good in the 7th house, but Venus is in the sign of Aries. Sun of itself in the 7th. Now this is where sometimes the difficult things we as astrologers say to people, and you as a consultant, or maybe you're like a person who goes to astrologers or coaches or consultants, and you take their advice, and we have to say these things to you. So when the Sun is in the 7th house, this person usually, I've never seen the opposite of this, so I'm going to say in my experience 100%, this person needs a strong partner beside them. So this can be a marriage partner, or this can be a business partner. Luckily, in this case, it's in the sign of Aries, so there's like a mitigating influence. So the person can be a self-starter for sure, because of that strong Aries Sun, exalted Aries Sun. But being it's in the 7th house, a person will still feel more confident when they have somebody beside them, or they have, let's say, a supportive partner. In this case, most likely the partner can be a little bit, selfish as well, or even the native person who we're reading this chart for can be selfish in partnerships for sure, like even like egotistical, and want all the attention to themselves. So imagine saying this to somebody. It can be quite difficult. And so but if you see it it's clear that it's so. It's better to hear it and see it and kind of deal with it and start dealing with it, instead of kind of suppressing it. Oh, no, I'm not like that. I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. I'm not selfish. It's easier to see it and start dealing with it, because once you do that, your life can get better. Your relationships can get better. And in this case, when you look for a strong partner in business or in marriage, your actual career and kind of the ability and the desire and the courage to start creating in the real world, in the real material, tangible world, increases dramatically as well. So remember this with this position, as well as the other stuff I said with astrology readings in general. Now, I also mentioned that I will share a secret with you about Libras. And I added this chart to be a Libra ascendant. And one of the big things about Libras, I don't think, maybe only some of the more, let's say, Libras who are really aware of astrology, maybe more into this the esoteric psychological realms, understand. But this is huge. I think if any Libra out there is understanding this, then this can make a huge shift in your life. Everything a Libra kind of says, does, gives advice to, or says it's the right thing to do, or even talks about these matters, immediately let's say the karma or the energy of this other side of, okay, so you're talking about this, you need to prove it and you need to live it, comes in. So how can this look like in the material realm is, let's say you're giving advice to somebody, you're giving them relationship advice, let's say you're even very precise, and you're saying like, hey, you need to do this and you need to do that because of their situation that the other person is in. Now, it's like a minute later, or let's say a day later, 2 days later, Libras, get their tests, let's say, then the testing comes in to kind of say, hey, can you do this yourself? Can you prove this? Can you live it yourself? So I urge Libras really to be kind of aware of what they're saying, what they're preaching, what they're saying, what advice they're giving, because a lot of that kind of, let's say, karmic experience comes really quickly to test Libras. And now you might be asking, like, why Libras? What is the reasoning behind this? So my reasoning behind this is because Libra is about balance. Libra is about agreements. It's about honoring those agreements. And one of the weird things about Libra is Saturn, the planet of karmic kind of experiences and happenings, is exalted in Libra. So I think a lot of these energies, these things are connected to each other, and this is one of the reasons. And one other side of this is because Libra is, it's about balancing. Because if one side goes really out of balance, things happen. If the other side goes out of balance, again, things start happening that aren't maybe the best, and then like the golden road lies in the middle. Again, one side, other side. One side, gives the advice. The other side has to kind of live it as well. I hope I'm making sense. So, but I urge you to kind of live this out as well. If you have strong Libra, and by strong Libra I mean Sun, Ascend. Let's start with in my mind the right order: Ascendant, Sun, Moon in Libra. Once you have these, it's quite obvious in my mind that you will have runnings with this type of energy. Like you're giving advice, and immediately, a second later, minute later, an hour later, a day later, something happens in your own life where you have to kind of live your advice and prove your advice to be true. It's a very karmic sign, Libra. So that's it. I also wanted to point your attention to a webinar I'm doing now on the 23rd of May. 23rd of May, I'm doing a webinar on how to make the best deals and how to form the best partnerships, which is a lot to do with Libra, negotiations. We're also going to look at leverage. We're going to look at deeper parts of astrology like timing and self-worth, and bring in psychological themes. So it's a lot to do with knowing your own worth, getting what you're worth in the real material marketplace, and how to ask for it, how to plan these meetings, how to plan salary negotiations, etc. I'm going to teach a lot of astrological techniques, psychological exercises, and we're going to look at astrology and kind of the material side of that as well. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. Hope you got something out of this video, and be sure to like, subscribe, share this video if you enjoyed it. Also, the Freedom Astrologer out, and I will see you soon in the next video.